All right. How we doing? Good morning, Tammy. Let's shuffle a couple windows here. Interesting in this preview. Curious, is this coming through? No, it's not there. Oh, YouTube? No? Okay. I guess, I don't know if there's a way to watch the stream through Restream. Restream is the service I use that splits the stream and takes it to YouTube and Twitch. They have a new logo on it, and it's like upgrade to Pro if you want to remove the logo, which I thought about getting Restream Pro a while ago. The placement of it is the only thing that's possibly concerning to me. It's kind of like right here, pretty much over my head and over my thing. But it doesn't look like it's coming through onto Twitch or YouTube, at least on my end. So I don't know if that's like only for people watching on Restream, or if I guess the intention is it's only for me seeing the preview. Restream is a super cool service, though. I think about getting Pro anyway. Anyway, that's all a tangent. Let's get going with the actual show here. Let me put the chats on top. All right, so quick introduction for folks that might be new. Hello to everybody who is watching. My name is Tim. I am going by foamyguy on Discord and GitHub. The Discord is what the chat that's visible on the screen right there. Right below me, that's the Discord chat for the Adafruit Discord. I think is linked down below. Yeah, adafruit.it/Discord. And then inside there, if you go to the live broadcast chat, then you can hang out and ask questions if you have questions about anything I'm working on, or suggestions, or just want to hang out and chat. I will be working on CircuitPython related things. Specifically today, I'm looking at a new display.io widget that I talked a little bit about last night. And if you don't know what CircuitPython is, though, this is where you can get started, circuitpython.org. Basically, this is a version of Python that runs on these tiny computers, such as this one here, which has a nice big screen on the front of it, which is what we'll be working with today, is one of these with a screen. But there are a bunch of different shapes and sizes and form factors of these things. So there's a bunch of them in the picture of the background here. Also on downloads, if you go to this page and scroll through a little bit, you can see nice big photos of all sorts of different shapes and sizes of these microcontrollers. So we're writing Python code that runs on these microcontrollers and interacts with stuff. It pulls sensors, it reads buttons, it looks at, camera images coming in, it has I/O pins for setting stuff high and low, sounds, speakers for making beeps and boops and all kinds of things like that. Pretty much any sort of little electronical widget that you've ever seen on an electronical device, like we can kind of interact with that thing using these microcontrollers, and in our case, with the Python code that we're writing. So if this sounds interesting to you, head to circuitpython.org. There's a contributing link if you want to get involved in the development. That's another thing that occurs over on the Discord. So if you are curious about the source code and the development that goes into this stuff, I would also suggest you to head over to our Discord. There's a separate channel in there called CircuitPython Dev, where all of the developers working on the project tend to be hanging out and talking about stuff that comes up. The contributing link, which is the page I'm on right now, this has open pull requests and issues, which are good places to get started if you're new, especially on the open issues. There's a good first issue filter right here, which is great to find stuff that doesn't require a huge technological prerequisite, right? You don't have to have much experience in order to help with some of that stuff. So it's really nice for folks that want to get involved. CircuitPython is an open source project, but it is primarily funded by this company, Adafruit.com. This is their website, and they sell the hardware. So different microcontrollers, as well as different sensors and lights and speakers and all kinds of things that you plug in. The other main thing they produce are learn guides, which are like guides that tell you about a particular device, or that give you an overview of a project that you can create using these devices. So lots of great information in the Learn system. You want to know what to do with your devices, and of course the shop if you want to purchase your devices. Definitely appreciate it, because again, they are paying the folks who are working on the project So if you purchase hardware from them, then you are, helping support the project as well. So thank you for that. All of us that they do pay to work on the project definitely appreciate folks who do purchase hardware from there. So jumping into specifically what I want to get into today, it follows up on something I started talking about last night. How's it going, C. Grover? Good morning. So I was talking about this PyPortal interface. Well, let's go to the guides. PyPortal interface. Talking about this guide. I always do this actually. I'm so spoiled by code completion that I tend to type like half of the word. Like I want PyPortal interface, and I just put enter. And it is actually in the list here. I was gonna say it's not showing up in the list for some reason, but maybe I didn't even type as much of it before. Anyway. That's neither here nor there. I just need to be less lazy typing full words. So we're trying to create kind of a modern version of this tutorial, this example project, basically. And the specific thing I'm thinking about today is kind of the top half of this display, which last night I talked about this as a tabbed layout, which I think does still make sense. But the more I thought about it yesterday after I got done streaming, I kind of started to think maybe that a tabbed layout is actually a special version of a paged layout. And the paged layout is actually the most basic of the building blocks for this particular type of interface. So when I say paged layout, what I'm imagining is this center section here, which is changing as this little cartoon hand clicks on these different tabs at the top. This center section that's changing, I think we're going to say that this is a paged layout. And so it holds a number of pages. In this case, it's holding 3 pages. But of course, it'll be able to hold any number, although probably at least 2, right? This primarily is helping you solve the idea of showing, 2 different pages back and forth at a minimum. If you only have 1 page, then you can just use a group and you don't really need it to be a paged layout. But if you have at least 2, you want to have an easy way to switch between them. Maybe that easy way is touchscreen tabs like this one, in which case I think we'll build a tabbed layout on top of paged layout. But you might not have a touchscreen. You might have a D-pad like on a PyPortal or something. You might not need big ol' touch-enabled buttons. You might not even want labels, for instance. Maybe you just have like 2 or 3 pages and it's obvious which page is which and you don't need labels at the top. Maybe you just have the pages by themselves. I think we should make a widget that covers that case and then build the tabbed layout on top of it. Rather than starting with the tabbed layout and building that, I think we start with a paged layout and then make a special kind of paged layout that uses the tabs specifically. This will help folks who want to use the page layout by itself, but it will also help, as a building blocks to put together more complex widgets like the tabbed layout. So that's what I want to work on. The good news is that if we go to the CircuitPython docs, there is a thing called group, which if you have used Display.io, you're probably pretty familiar with groups, or you've at least used them, whether or not you're super familiar with them. Because groups are one of the primary building blocks in Display.io. It's not absolutely required that you definitely use a group. You can show like a tile grid, for instance, without a group, but as soon as you want to start showing 2 things on the screen, 2 labels, or a label and a button, or a label and a shape, or whatever, right? As soon as you add a second thing, then you pretty much need to use a group. And so you can imagine like it's fairly frequent that you want to show at least 2 things on the screen, which means that it's pretty frequent that you would use a group in order to do it. And group, while it's more generic, it kind of is the paged layout in a lot of ways. It has, what does it have? So it has a couple of tools for this. It has the ability to pop, remove, and insert new things into the group. So you can add and remove things from the group. And And so you could imagine our pages in our page layout, you could imagine those as other groups getting added and removed to a main group. It also has the ability to turn itself hidden. So that's another way actually that we could make our page layout is each page has its own group, and then we go through and set hidden to true or false for all the different pages. It'll be true for the page that's currently showing, and it'll be false for all the other ones. Group does some other things like scale, sort. I didn't even know you could sort a group. That's interesting. And then it has an XY position because we're able to put it on the screen, which of course will be nice because we will be able to position it wherever we want. This one is positioned like down from the top a little bit here, enough room for the tabs above it. So group is most of the way there. I think what we need is pretty much just a nice, happy little class. You know, Bob Ross has happy little trees. In Python, we have happy little classes that have really nice to use APIs that allow us to write elegant and easy to understand code. So functionality-wise, groups pretty much do everything we need. I just want a layer that's built on top that makes the code use this idea of the pages and provides a very easy interface like switch to page 1 or switch to the introduction page or switch to the main menu page. A nice easy to use interface that allows us to do that, whereas group, it doesn't really right now. It tracks everything as just an index. You have to know like 0 through whatever. What the index is, you can, if you know the index, you can remove it and re-add it, or you can hide and show as needed. But you have to work in indexes. I think it'd be nice if we had the ability to work in names. Like you can name one page the splash page. You can name the next page the main menu page. You can name the third page, the application page or something, and switch between them using the names, because that's going to make the code easier to understand. So that is what I'm working on. The home for this is going to be in display.io layout library, because this is where we keep layouts, and this essentially is a layout, at least in my mind. So I am just going to jump right in. I'm going to go to main. Oh, my main has, wait, what? My main has outgoing, I don't think we want that. Why would we have that? What did I push to main? Okay, I don't know. What is, can't really compare with remote very easily as well. I think we're just going to delete this Adafruit main on my local branch, of course. My local fork, rather. Delete this. Unmerged commits were discarded. Perfect. Now let's just check out main again. Okay. Now we should be back in line with the actual real Adafruit main. I have no idea what I would have pushed. Whatever it was, it's gone now. I shouldn't need it. If I do need it, that's a bummer. I'll have to redo it. But whatever it was, I probably pushed it accidentally anyway. So I pull. This is going to give me the most up-to-date version. And that's a good starting point. So I'm going to be a good version control user today and start my branch right at the beginning. I don't always remember to do this. Git checkout -b, name of the new branch, paged layout, the branch we want to go from, Adafruit main, no track. How's it going, Johnny? Nice to see you today. No track, there we go. And now we're basically just gonna start. I'm gonna, we could take a copy of grid layout to start with. Why don't we do that? Page layout. Page or paged? Doesn't matter that much. I think maybe just page layout. I don't feel like the past tense or whatever adds much, or it's not even really past tense, it's Add adjective modifier? I don't really know what it is. But I don't think we need the D on the end paged. We do want to add this. Basically, we're going to start changing stuff here, though. I took a copy because it's already got a bunch of stuff that I'm going to use. All this boilerplate. Layout that organizes pages, which can be viewed one at a time. We'll keep the typing stuff. This is still the same. Those should be fine. We are still going to extend group as analogized with M to terms like tile layout or grid layout or flow layout. I think page layout makes sense. Nice. Thank you. Good morning, Gordy G. As I managed to catch the stream today, it was a bit short yesterday. Yep. I cut it off a little bit early yesterday. I had some other stuff to do last night. So let's see. We are gonna have X and Y, so we can keep those. Width and height. So groups themselves, groups don't have a width and height by themselves. I think. We want a width and height? I don't think we need a width and height. Or at the very least, I don't think we need to pass in a width and height when we create the page layout. I'll try to stop saying it with the D now. I don't know. Let's throw a comment in front of those. Maybe we will use them, maybe we won't. I'm leaning towards not, but I'm not actually sure. Grid size we don't need because we don't have a grid. Cell padding might be interesting as page padding. Yeah, that might be kind of nice to provide a page padding. I don't know. Maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. We'll see. Divider lines, we don't... Only one page is visible at a time, so there's nothing to divide. H divider lines, V divider lines, yep, don't need any of this. Line color, nope, no lines. Cell anchor point. I don't think we need this, but again, this kind of is similar to page padding. Maybe we'll use it, maybe we won't. It might be nice to have a way to tell the page that you want whatever you add to it to go to the center. You'll have some ability to do that externally, but maybe it would be nice to just tell it ahead of time, I want everything in the center, and then it'll just put it there for you later. I don't know. We'll see. So we ended up with basically just X, Y, and then a bunch of other maybes. I think what I will do is, let's delete them for now. Any of the maybes, let's delete. And if we end up using them later, then we'll come back and add them. Actually, just the X and Y. We may end up adding an argument as well for like page names or something. Like maybe you could pass in a tuple or a list of page names, or the other option will be like doing them one at a time. So the way the grid layout works, to give you an idea, like I'm going to try to get the API to be sort of similar to the grid layout. And the grid layout API is create the grid layout and then add content to the grid layout. For the grid, you're adding content into each cell. But I think I'll reuse this API. Basically, we'll create our page layout, and then we'll add content to the page layout. Content we're adding in this case, though, will be on each page. So you'll tell it the content to add, and you'll tell it the page name that it's going to go on. Name or index, I guess. Basically, we could do either. Can we do either? I think we can. I don't know what I changed here, but we don't need it. Roll it back. Close. Okay. So let's get rid of these for now. Cell content list we can keep as page content list. So some of this is going to be just cutting a bunch of stuff out. Do we need to lay out pages? I think we do really need to lay out pages. We can always grab it if we do. We do want to add content. This is going to take the cell content and I think well, we're going to call it page content though. Page content. Whoa. None of my hotkeys running yet. Let's see here. Correct answer is developer design layout. Got the last 10 minutes yesterday, got off work at 4. Hodgepodge layout sounds fun. What do we call the layout that looks like you just emptied a box of Legos on the floor? Yeah. Hodgepodge. Let me catch up here. Lots of us in the Eastern time zone. Yeah, I do think Adafruit itself is in New York, which is Eastern time zone. I think a lot of the folks in the community and the team are in the East Coast. Did we switch to daylight savings? We did where I'm at. That was, I think, last week or the week before. Are you thinking that pages stack and overlap using the same XY origin and borders? Yes, I think. If I understand the question, then I think the answer is yes. My plan will be the pages do stack on top of each other logically, and then once you change one, you're bringing it to the top. So it's the one that's visible, and the others are behind it, not visible. They will all have the same XY origin, and they will share the same borders, although I'm not necessarily intending on drawing the border. But maybe we could. I almost lean towards the border. There's probably an idea for another basic component of a border layout, or a frame layout is what Android has, which is meant to draw a border around something, basically a frame or a border around something. So that could even be like another component, and then you could use a frame layout inside of the page layout to get a visual border. Last weekend, yeah, thank you. Put an end. I hope so. I heard they were thinking about getting rid of daylight savings time. I definitely am in favor of that. You was supposed to switch to non-daylight, but then COVID happened. Interesting. It's a weird reason to change your mind, I guess, but definitely changed a lot of things in the world. So page content, I think I want to go page name, page index. I think I don't know. I tend to think names are going to be the best way to use this, but possibly some people will want indexes instead of names. Indexes would be nice if you want to use this page layout as like a slideshow, for instance. I'm imagining it as more like an application, like a mobile application. You're clicking through different pages. But you could also actually just use this page layout as like a slideshow as well, right? If you had, 10 slides and you want to just cycle through them, on a 10-second interval or whatever, you could use this for that, and the index might be nice because you could just increment by 1, and you don't like care about the pages don't have different logical names, they just are in an order. So maybe we'll try to work with index as an option and name also as an option. I don't know how well it'll end up working out with both, but we'll see. I also realized I forgot to top off my water with some ice before I started, and I definitely want some cold water to drink. So I apologize, but I'm gonna have to step away for just a minute and fill up that. Let me do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, now we're back, and we have some icy cold water, which is much better. Let's have permanent savings time. Yeah, I don't really care whether we go with the daylight time or the regular time. I don't have a car in that race. I don't individual countries select what they wanted as the permanent one. Yeah, that would be weird. I mean, it's basically the same as just time zones, though, right? Zones are usually off by an hour anyway, so we do. So we'll have a content, which is going to be the page content. Then I think we'll have the page name in here. And the page index? This is page content list. I guess it's not a dictionary, it's a list of dictionaries. Get cell. This is going to be get page, and it's going to take either page name. Maybe this should have been none, not empty. None. Actually, this maybe should be none as well. So you can pass the page name or the page index. Either one will allow you to get your page back. String. You won't, I don't think you'll pass both though. So we might make a check that says if you passed both, then raise another error that says like don't use both. I don't know. Display IO content at those coordinates. That's what we are going to return, so that makes sense. So we're iterating over page content list, and then we're saying if cell, well, we're saying if page name. So if they did pass the page name, then we're looking for cell page name. Page name. Page content list. I don't know why we can just do cell content, right? Because we have content and page name and index here. Maybe we should not keep, I wonder if we should not keep index on this dictionary and instead should just say the order of things inside this list are the index. Because this is already a list, which means it already has order. And if we have page index inside of here, then we either have to be diligent about making sure they're always the same, or they could be different, which definitely makes things confusing. Yeah, I think let's axe that. If page index, well, okay, if page index, then we don't need to loop. And instead we just go return self page content list, page index, content. Why is this mad? Unexpected types. Possible types, int, slice. Is it, oh, I see. It's like it is an int, isn't it? It's gonna be an int, but it's actually still coded wrong. So that should be, me figuring that out right there, that should be an ad for why typing is kind of awesome, because the IDE can tell you when something doesn't look right, can highlight it like that, which is really nice. Stream acted up and switched to 144p. Dang, thought I forgot to put the glasses on. And he must have stepped on the tubes. Yeah, my guess is probably it could have hiccuped on my end and then like started getting lower bitrate. They have a bitrate measurement over here in Restream, but I was not watching it. And I do notice sometimes if I do watch it that it dips every now and then. Currently getting 360. Yikes. Let me make sure I don't have anything else random running. Is this running? This is running. Let's go pause this. I guess I usually have this one running. I don't know if it lets the chat run. Does it? We'll see. It does right now say in Restream 4,900 kilobits per second, so it seems relatively normal on my end. Twitch also has a pretty nice green line for bitrate, so hopefully it will just clear up without any of us doing anything. Maybe try refreshing if you haven't yet, but as far as I can tell, it seems to be at least leaving my computer all right. Could be like between Restream and other services, or on the other services directly. So we don't really need to do index here. We can just loop over the cells. Oh wait, no. Unexpected type string. This time I don't think it's unexpected because cell is dictionary. And these are absolutely the keys in the dictionary. It is weird that... Oh. Yes. Okay. Yet again, highlighting saves me from making code that doesn't work, which is awesome. Okay, so if they asked for an index, just look it up off the list and get the content and return it back to them. If they asked for a name, unfortunately, we can't just do a straight dictionary lookup because it is dictionaries inside of a list. So we're going to loop over the list. Well, we should just put this out here, right? Yeah, this is better. If they asked for a page name, we're going to loop over the list. If the current page is named what they asked for, then return to them that page. If we make it to the very end and nothing was found, then we return none. Oh, or no, we raise the key error, because that's what we said we were going to do, actually. Does not contain cell. Does not contain page. And I think this is like... Let's see. So, trying to be a little tricksy here, which I probably shouldn't do, honestly, but page index, if page index, else page name. The truth is, though, both of those could be none, in which case the error would still make sense, I guess. PagedLayout does not contain page none. Doesn't make sense, I guess. I might check for, I might make this more robust later and make a check for the actual, if the user passes none as both of those, i.e. they don't pass in the arguments, then like maybe it raises a different exception that tells them specifically like you need to use one of these arguments. But right now let's leave it like this. Cell size pixels. I don't think we need that. Okay. This is what we're left with. Constructor and add content. And that's pretty much it. We also want to have, let's just kind of stub this out. We want a def, what should we call the function that's gonna make the given page showing? Should it be like show page or? Yeah, I think so. Show page or go to page. I think show page. This can take, it's kind of the same thing, either a name or a number. But let's go ahead and write the check, actually. If not page name and not page index, then return. What is there like an argument error? Argument? No. What about, what's the best kind of error for user did not supply the right arguments? Attribute error? Attribute error? Must supply, must pass page name or page index. Because we're going to want this in like all of these functions pretty much. In fact, truthfully, we should probably have def check args. Wait, we don't want to return though, we want to raise. Then here we just go check args. And of course we pass these things to it. Now we don't copy paste this code for every function. We copy paste the call, but not the actual code for it. Okay, what is this? Many blank lines. So, what technique do we want to use? Do we want to, I think, do we want to add and remove groups as necessary, or do we want to just, I think I want to just do hidden. Where's group? Hidden. I think I just want to do hidden true on all the ones that are not the current one. and hidden false on the one that is the current one. So I think when we are setting a page, what we're going to do is for so let me think about this though. We're going to so most of the time the user is probably going to be adding a group as content. Most of the time page content is probably going to be a group. But technically it doesn't have to be. It could be like a label by itself. If the page doesn't have anything except a single thing, then maybe it could be that thing by itself. Label is a bad example anyway, because label also extends group, I think. But it could be a tile grid. It could be a single thing. Got back to 1080p. Nice. Page content. So I almost think we should. I think we should make our own group internally for each page. That way the user has the ability to pass groups and they'll just get nested, or they have the ability to pass non-groups. We could always check it. If it is a group, then don't. But then we have some that are nested and some that are not. I don't know how much overhead there is of making an extra group if we don't need it. Yeah, let's try without. Or I mean, let's try like without checking. Let's try with just nesting the group and see if it becomes a problem. So when we get page content, what we're actually going to do is go page group is a new group. Display IO group. And then we're going to go page group append, page content. And then page group is actually going to be what's here. So page group is inside of our list. The content is inside the group. And so we'll be able to just call hidden, well, set hidden, it's a property. We'll be able to set hidden to true and false on our page group, which we can look up inside of our list of dictionaries. So when we show a page, we're going to go for page in self dot page content list page let's go okay, so we checked the args. You know what else we should do actually inside of here? We should also say if page index and page name. You shouldn't pass both of these. So if neither of them are none, then we actually want to raise this also. I don't know if I need to add the extra sentence or whatever, but hopefully that'll make it easier. This way we can just assume that that has already happened inside of here, and then we can just say if page name is how we're looking, then if page name equals page name not return, we're not returning anything. We're going page content hidden false. So if we found the page name we're looking for, then turn hidden to false. Else, if if we are looking by name, but we did not find it with this iteration, then set this one true. If we're looking by index instead, then we don't need to do the loop. Thought that groups resolve to lists under the covers. No major memory issues since Python is tuned for dictionaries and lists. Nice. I do think that's true. Groups are pretty much lists under the hood, if I understand it correctly. Especially nowadays, because they can gain more items as time goes on. It used to be locked, more like a Java array, which cannot grow in size. But now it can. If they are looking by index, then we just need to go self. Well, we do still need to loop, actually, because we need to set all the other ones to hidden. Yeah, we do still need to loop. If we're going by page index instead of page name, then okay, we need the number here as well for index and page in enumerate. Now we go if, I'm going to call this cur index. I like to use cur for current because it's more specific. So if the current index we're looking at is equal to the page index that the user passed in, then do this. Hidden false. Else, if it's not, you know, another thing we could do inside of here is this could actually do our key error check as well. So if they did pass one of these two arguments, if page index is the 1, if length of page content list is less than the page index, raise key error. Is that right? So let's say there's 3 pages. So length of this will be 3. And let's say they asked for page index 3. 3 is not less than 3. Did this backwards. What have I done? Let's use an example that's not the same. Let's say there's 3 pages and we asked for index 2. Three is not less than 2. Okay, I have this backwards. I have this backwards? If the index they asked for is less than still backwards. If the index they ask for is less than the length of this, that means it's valid. That means we can get it for them. If the page index is not less than the length, it's either equal to the length or greater than the length, then we have a key error. Page index length. How do you tell this it's supposed to be an int? The D? I don't know. These? Change. Oh. Yeah. I see what you're saying. I don't know why this is you can format an int, I know. I don't know why it's in fact this is gonna be an int also anyway. If page index is greater than the length. No, it has to be greater than equals. Because if it's equal to the length, it's also out of bounds since it's zero based. It's greater than or equals, yeah. I don't know. Would like that to not be yellow, but it also doesn't matter too much. Figure that out later. I'm sure I think there's something I need to do in here to tell it that it's supposed to be a number, but if page name false, we haven't found it yet. If the page name they're looking for is equal to the current page's name, then we did find it. Okay. Now we have a bunch of bounds here, which is nice because we can just assume all of that stuff is correct and it exists inside of our list without, since it gets checked up above. All right, so we're hiding all the ones that are not the one we asked for. We're showing the one that is the one we asked for. I'm sure there is something I'm missing for why this is not ready to be used yet. Sure there is something I'm missing, but I don't know what it is, so we're gonna go ahead and try to use it. And when I'm developing widgets, I like to test on the PC first, because it's even faster iteration. I have this library, PyGameDisplay. Linka Display.io PyGameDisplay is the full name. It's kind of a long name. It allows me to run Display.io code on the PC. I don't need any mouse events or anything though. Okay. Import it, and for now, let's just put. I think let's just put different labels on each page. So to start out with, we can just do super basic: x equals 0, y equals 0. That's all that's required, I think, right? Yeah. Okay. So now page 1 label. Bitmap label. Anything else? Anchor point. Um, 1010 for right now. Why is this mad? No label? Resolve label? Is that not this? Oh. Okay, so let's make another label, page 2 label. Now we have 2 labels. So let's go, we're gonna append to main group the page layout. And then test page layout.add content. Let's go add content, page 1 label. And now we get our choice here. Let's do name first. Page 1. Page 2. Timer.timer. What CP function should I use to measure how long Wi-Fi takes to connect? Timer.timer I'm not familiar with. There is supervisor ticks. There's also a library called Adafruit ticks, which has some fixes for like the ones that have like clock drifting and stuff like that, I think. So you might look into that as well. Adafruit ticks library. Okay. So the one thing is we don't really have what's going to happen? What's going to happen is either nothing is going to show or everything is going to show. Those are my predictions. This is back to broken. It's probably back to fixed, truthfully. I need to update, maybe? This has gotten broken like this a few times. Because of my Pygame display thing here is not really the intended use of Blinka or Blinka Display IO. I happen to figure out how to make it work. But it's not really what it's meant for. Is it platform detect? Pretty satisfied. Four-wire imports. Our chain here is we import display IO. Display IO ends up importing four-wire. Four-wire imports microcontroller. Ends up raising this. Okay. Short detour, because I want to be able to fix this. I want to be able to run this on my computer. So even though this is not the primary thing I'm trying to do, I want to go and fix this, I think. January 4th, maybe this is where it broke? No, because I say here I tested this one. January 4th. I mean, I guess for the short term, you just install an older version? Now I know. Now I know. Let's try that. Oh, Ada? No, something about this seems wrong. I don't understand. Oh, Ada. Okay. 070 made it run. This is from August, and on this PR in January, I said I tested it with Pygame display. So this definitely worked with the one from January, which would have been release. One of these two, I guess. Well, I mean, I guess probably February. Would have been 090. So it should be working on that one, or at least it did work on that one in the past. So then it's a difference in Blinka, not Blinka Display IO? I guess, which makes sense because we're inside microcontroller. I mean, I think the deal is like, this Pygame display project I have is like the only thing that uses Blinka on a full PC that I'm aware of. And therefore I think like it gets broken and I'm the one who notices it generally, and I don't notice it right away. Yeah. In fact, here. Yeah. So where did this go? This is in microcontroller init. What? Time it. Okay, so we have this. Why? Hmm. Hmm. So we need the same thing inside a pin. Yeah. I guess we probably didn't used to be importing pin. My guess is this is probably typing. Yeah. Probably this thinks that it's an unused import because it's only used. Is it only used in typing? Oh, it's not used. Why is it imported? Interesting. I don't know why these are imported. But I think if we add basically this inside here. Yep, it's my file. Let me edit it. Why are these imported? Maybe 2 days ago. Fix cyclical imports. Oh my. This came along with like all pre-commit changes, which is a massive stack of stuff. I'm not sure. I still don't really understand why it's imported if it's not used. Okay. This is getting dicey. How much farther do I want to go to this rabbit hole versus get back to the page layout? I mean, my instinct is that I think my instinct is that these three things, 4-wire, I2C display, and display bus, I think these should not be getting imported unless / until the user is trying to create one of them. in the primary intended use case of Blinka Display IO, it's intended to hook up to a physical display using one of these types of connections. In my use case, though, there is no physical display. I don't have a SPI connection or an I2C connection or any kind of physical wires connecting to a display. Well, I mean, I have an HDMI cable, I guess, but this is not. Blinka doesn't know about my HDMI cable. So I think it should not really import these until it knows that you want to use them. This is going to print like 5 times now or something. Bummer. I wish I would have, I should have been paying closer attention to the display IO PRs to find this out when it happened. This has 4-wire too. Yeah, I don't want to just comment it out though, because I don't want to have my own copy of the code. Like I want the Blinka Display IO to be able to work for either. So commenting it out would help me today because it maybe would let me run it, but ultimately it doesn't help me because I want both to work. So this is where the try accepts are coming from. But I am running out of steam on wanting to chase it right now. Yeah. I just don't get, I mean, I'd have to look at more of the code, I guess, to understand it. I don't get why all these things are imported when I'm not using them. Just the way it's been refactored, though, is the types are wreaking havoc as well, because a bunch of the types are assuming the imports worked, and they didn't. .702 maybe? Alright, I'll run like this for a while, I guess. So back to the page layout. We get nothing, which was one of my 2 original guesses. So why do we get nothing? We never called show page for one thing. But I don't think this is not the only reason, because really nothing has set hidden to true. So I would have expected them both to be visible. I think it's because we added them to this. Yeah, when we add content, we need to add it to this list, but we also need to add it to self, the group instance self. Page group. Maybe it imports something else that is used. See that in the examples in time? Yeah, I think it's not, though, necessarily the... like in the examples, it's generally, it does that type of thing when it's like the example supports more than one sensor, or it supports more than one way to connect to the sensor. And so it might like import stuff it needs for I2C, but there's actually an option for SPI or I2C. Which there is on the case of displays, but I'm not using either. I'm not using any hardware. I pay too much attention to me. I'm a novice. Yeah, no worries. I just have a gift for asking rogue questions. They're definitely not stupid questions. I would say I don't think they're stupid questions. Commenting it out like it would be probably quicker and easier to get me from not working to working. But ideally, I want to know the things that change and be able to change them in such a way where it'll work either way. For folks that are using Blinka Display IO the actual way it's meant to be used, obviously I don't want to break it for them. But for me, who is using it in this weird way where it's not really meant to be, but I figured out how to do it, I want it to work for both. This is interesting. I don't know what this means. Underrun? We still aren't getting... Still aren't seeing anything. What if we made other? I think too few arguments. It could be. I think ASL. I think this is something to do with sound. Like the Linux driver for sound or something. Oh my gosh. Oh no, never mind. None of it works, actually. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna leave the Pygame display thing in the dust for now. We're gonna switch to the PyPortal. I really like being able to develop on the PC, but I don't want to solve every problem that it's having right now. So, switch to a PyPortal. I also don't want to trust, like, right now, everything is broken, and therefore I am afraid, like, I'll make something work and it won't actually work, and I'll think it's broken for one reason, but it is not actually broken in the real environment, and instead just broken because of something to do with these things now. Okay, that is odd, because I definitely expected just none of these to work. Interesting. Buttons don't work. Images work. Party parrot doesn't work. Something inside tile grid is broken? I don't know. I don't want to troubleshoot it right now either, so I should stop. Okay, let's make a... This one I'll add, because it's actually going to get checked in. Good news is that most of this code can just carry over. I don't know how to spell kaleidoscope. Close enough. Okay, so that makes sense. We don't have this copy of the library with this new widget. FIFO with a phi slower than a fo. Got the slow phi. Nobody wants any slow phi. So now I think we need a while true, or this is not. Yeah. Okay. All right. It's teeny tiny. Can make it bigger like this. Okay, this is what I was expecting, which is we're seeing both. So something different I added as an extra part of troubleshooting. But this is what I expected the first time, was we see both and they're basically layered on top of each other, and that's because we never set one to be showing. And so we need to do that, which means we should be able to do this. Test page layout dot show page page index 0. Right. So the problem is that 0 counts as not. 0 is falsy. So inside of here, this needs to not actually be page name is none. And page index is none. Okay, so it didn't work. Didn't it work? So we're going to print that we're hiding it. We're going to print both the index and page name. Okay. We have the same problem. If page name is not none, page index is not none. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we're actually showing the first page. And we could change pages. So we could do something like this. Page 1, page 2, page 1, page 2. So now we're changing between pages, one after another, back and forth, back and forth. So this part of the functionality is working how I want. Can we change by page name? Page name. Indeed we can. Okay. That's working how I want. So the next thing to do is make it so that they're not showing both by default. So when we add a page, we want to if there's no items in the list, no. If there's at least one item in the list, then hidden is true. So if we already have one item at least, then we're going to set the new one to hidden. So we should be left showing the first page that got added. I'm going to pick off this part though. Perfect. Now it shows the first page by default. And of course, if we didn't add any pages, then we wouldn't see anything. Yeah. Oop. And if we just do page 2, then that's the one we see at the beginning. Technically, page 1 was shown for a split second, but it's so fast we wouldn't have seen it. Okay. Now we're looking good. What else do we want to do inside of here? Do we want like next page and previous page? Yeah. I think so. When we find the one that we're supposed to show, update this variable. Now we will always know which page is showing. Page list. Current showing index. Page name. So this should print 1 and page 2. Yeah. Nice. With a stop at end beginning or loop around option. Yeah, we could do that. I think I'm inclined to make the default that it would just loop, and then I guess you could pass false if you don't want it to loop. I'm gonna stub this out a little bit first. I guess we could make setter properties for these if we really wanted to, and they could just call this function. Yeah, let's do that. I like properties. Many lines. I never remember. Some things want 2 lines, some things want 1 line. Okay. So if we're allowed to go to the next page, if the next page is less than the length yeah. I guess we could just do, because it sets it inside of there, we could actually just do this and then not set this. Else, if it is at the end, then if not loop, print no more pages. Else show page 0. Go back to the beginning. All right, let me make sure that works before I write previous. So let's say here, show page is currently showing page 2. Let's just go test page layout dot next page. Nice. And let's make a, well, let's use other label for page 3. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Nice. Okay. Let me catch up here. Got me some Feather S2 Neo from Unexpected Maker. Got a 5x5 pixel matrix. Nice. Any cool ideas? Conway's Life is a little pretty fun, yeah. Tiny little grid. It is fairly small for that, but I mean, you could still do it. Be a fun exercise. Put it in basic. Put 9 of them side by side. Ooh, I had to learn assembler. Never been that low myself. Faster and slower using basic is never the fastest, yeah. Use a faster language. Inspect every cell and add up the neighbors, then decide whether it'll be a live cell there. Lots of duplicate and useless work. Nice. Another thing you could do on a 5x5, you could make a small version of Snake. The video game Snake, where you start out as one dot and you have to try to eat the apple and then you have to try not to run into your tail. 5x5 is also fairly small for that, but I mean, you could do it, and it's still Snake. It's basically the same game. 5x5 might be what's on the microbit, the original one. Is that 5x5 or 6x6? I don't remember. Tiny S2 Snake, yeah. Okay, so next page is working. Let's do a previous page here. This is pretty much going to be a lot of the same logic. Difference is that we are going -1 and we're saying, is it greater than 0? And if so, we are showing it. If not, we are checking loop. And show the last page. So Save this. Nothing should change. Oh my, we are calling hide so many times. Oh, no, we're not. It's just looping over and over again. Duh. Thought that was just during initialization. That's actually while it was running for like a full minute when I typed the rest of this code or whatever. So far nothing should change. So 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But if we do change this to previous, now it will go the opposite direction. We don't ever see page 1. Do we need greater than equal 0? We have an off by 1 error. Okay. Go by 5. Decimal implementation. I don't think I've ever said pessimal. I would have, yeah. Greater than equal 0. Page 2 previous to page 1, then 3, then 2, then 1. 3, 2, 1. Now we're good. Okay. All right. So we have previous page ability, next page ability. We have show a specific page, either by the name or the index. We should test our setters. So let's say... Let's turn these off. And let's say test page layout dot showing page name equals page 1. Perfect. And index 2. Yep. Okay. Nice. So now we have lots of easy to use ways. Depends, like some people might like the function, some people might like the properties, some people might like next page, previous page. We have the ability for user to set this layout up, add their content to it, and then switch between these pages. So do we need anything else inside of the page layout, or is this pretty much what we want from it? One thing which I haven't used yet is get page. Why don't we make sure that get page works? Hey, Norse Gale, I appreciate the follow there on Twitch. Thank you. Get page. So this is going to return page content. Should we have it return the object? Probably not, no, because we would have passed in the name. Although I guess if you're looking up get page by index, you might want the page name. Yeah, let's return the object. Let's return cell, and then if you want content, you'll access content from it. Let's do this. So then you could theoretically also do like, instead of doing it this way, you could also say print test page layout dot get page page index 2 page name. So this would print page 3. Page 3. So now we're able to arbitrarily look up a page by its index, get its object, which we can then access its name from if that's what we want. But we could also access the content. So we could do something else like, let's say, we could do access the content. The content is going to be a group which contains, in our case, a label. So we could do this to get our label, and then we could do color equals well, we can't print this. We can set the color. Turn this back on. So the label that's on page 3, which of course has the index of 2, we're going to set the color on it to pink. Page 1, boom, pink. Perfect. So this gives you the ability to access your content and modify it further. Like if you need to change the text in your label, update it to the newest value from the sensor. If you need to change the color, if you need to add a new thing, we could even like make a whole nother thing here. I've been playing with vector IO lately. We could even go like import vector IO. We could make an entirely new thing. Rect equals vector IO rectangle. Let's go width 100, height 20, x 10, y 100. Vecco Toro. So now we have a rect. We can also go like test page layout, get page, page name. So let's say we want to get the page that's named page 2. Content, append, rect. So now our page 2 should have a rectangle. Oh, I didn't make a pixel shader. Yeah. Colors equals palette. Let's just do 3. Yep, so we actually have to pass it, not just create it, which definitely makes sense. Let's do that. Boom. Oh, uh-oh. What did I do? So my only guess here is that maybe vector IO shapes don't respect hidden. That's kind of my only guess here. And if that turns out to not be the case, then I don't know what my problem is. What? Oh. Oh, I just refreshed this page expecting it to run my code for me. Display.show group. Okay. A little more. It doesn't really matter, but I don't want them overlapping for some reason. That's my OCD right now, is I don't want these to overlap. So we have shapes. So now main group.hidden. Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's code inside of display.io components that says, if my group is hidden, then don't draw myself, roughly. And I bet that Vector.io doesn't have that code. And we can confirm this, right? If we make a label from So this will blink hidden on and off, and our label will disappear and reappear, but our shapes will not. They'll stay showing. Adafruit. Shouty font. Yeah. All right. Well, that's definitely another rabbit hole. Because we will have to go inside a Vector.io core in order to fix that. I'll take a peek through the code. I'm not going to fix it right now, but I'm a little curious. And honestly, I probably will be wrapping up after this. So I got the bulk of this page layout done. Let me copy this off of my iPortal back into this library. And I'll go back and put the example as well, but me just make sure this is not on my PyPortal and is back in the repo so I don't lose it accidentally. Let's look in the code. I think there's gonna be like, I don't know, where would it be though? It's like, so like a tile grid or a group, a whole nother group. Does it work with a whole nother group? Work with a whole nother group. Other group equals display.io group. Label other group. So do we get the same outcome with this? Yes. So groups know to hide subgroups. My gut is, let's look in here. Let me catch up to the chat here. I always love that word, pessimal. I understand it was popular back in the day when memory was a spinning magnetic drum. Used to describe the choice of memory locations, which should be accessed just after they pass the read head. Create time delays. Optimizing code. Yeah. Easy. Would be accessed just before the read head got there. Less optimal would be accessed a half a rotation before. Decimal would be make the drum go twice. Oh, nice. I like that animation. I'm gonna call that the cinnamon roll. Yeah. Intensity in the code. Whenever I use NeoPixels, I'm at like, I generally start at like 10% brightness. You know that scene in Iron Man where he's like testing out the thrusters or something, and he does it once and it's way too much and he blows through the roof or something, and then like a minute or two later he's like, all right, no, seriously, like 2% thrust or something. I embody Tony Stark when I set up NeoPixels. I'm like, no, really, like, just barely turn on enough that I can see. Because even like half, like 50% of NeoPixels still is eye-piercing, in my opinion. You can't, like 10% is more than enough for a lot of situations. Oh, interesting. That seems like a clue. Yeah. So we might have just stumbled actually onto where the code is. So this is inside group, inside set hidden, which I assume is what gets called when we use the hidden property. Like this, hidden property, we're calling set hidden, which is in here. Checks to see if it's already the right state. Just returns if it is. If not, though, it loops through all the members of the group. There's basically two types of objects it can be. One of them is tile grids and one of them is groups. I don't really get why this code is figuring out the type. Type? This one is figuring out the type. Oh. Somehow this is checking the type. So this is like, if it is a tile grid type, then do this. So I guess maybe if it's not a tile grid type, then this ends up being this null. If you try to call this and make it a type that it's not, then it must get null. So basically this statement before and this if statement together, these are both in concert checking to see if the type is tile grid. If it is tile grid, it's calling set hidden by parent. And then another check here is checking if it is group. And if it is group, then it's calling set hidden by parent. So what we need is a third check right here. We need another check that says, is it a vector IO type? And then we also need a vector IO set hidden by parent. And it will use that logic to like choose to draw itself or not. Let's look inside tile grid. Set hidden by parent. Oh, it doesn't really do a whole lot, does it? Interesting. I kind of expected more stuff. Does tile grid have hidden directly? It didn't help. Oh, that doesn't help either. Here we go. Hidden. It does. Okay. So I guess really we need... I didn't know that. Basically, the gist of it is that groups don't make their children hidden. Instead, groups tell their children that they're supposed to be hidden. The distinction being if the child doesn't have that functionality, then it will just ignore the request, which is very childlike. You tell a child to do something and they just are like, yeah, I don't know. No thanks. And that's basically what has happened here. So we would really need a concept of the hidden property, and we would need it on, maybe, I don't know if it's technically vector shape or if it's on these things individually, like the circle, the polygon, and the rectangle. Hopefully it could be on the shape. Transform. So yeah, basically we have no hidden. Vectorio doesn't have hidden. It's interesting. I didn't realize before that group, in order for that to work in group, it needs the child to play along. It needs the child to actually have the functionality built in. I always kind of assumed, I mean, I've never looked into this code before, but I kind of assumed that group had the mechanism that chose whether or not to draw the thing, but it's actually not. The thing itself has the mechanism that chooses whether or not it gets drawn. Group is only responsible for setting that thing to true. But then that thing by itself is responsible, I guess, for looking. What happens when hidden is true? So like on a tile grid, When hidden is true, what does that do? There must be something that says, like, if not hidden, then do something. Allow yourself to be drawn, basically. Fill area. Inside fill area, it checks to see if it's supposed to be hidden, and if it's true, if it is supposed to be hidden, it just returns. Fill area. So we would, somewhere inside of here, we have a fill area. We do have a fill area, actually. So this might not be that hard, actually. We have fill area. We would just make a similar looking this thing somewhere near the beginning of fill area here. And then we need the property as well, which is a bunch of boilerplate code so that it can actually have like hidden as a property and hidden by parent, I guess, which it has separate. So, okay. All right. Well, this will be, I think, an adventure for another day. This feels like it's another one of these things that's kind of like right on the edge of my bounds of understanding and capability to change or fix. But I think I can do it, and I think I'll learn a lot from doing it. So this is the perfect kind of thing in the core that I am looking for to keep getting my hands dirty in the core, kind of keep learning how to do stuff inside there. Let me catch up on the chat here. Wax on, wax off. Did lower it. Yeah, 10% is pretty much where I start on NeoPixels. Something has to draw the background if it's hidden, so the objects can hide in a non-hidden group. Yep. When an object goes from non-hidden to hidden, who actually writes the background in its place? It goes from non-hidden to, well, when it goes from non-hidden to hidden, I'm not sure if I understand the question. Ultimately, I guess it's the refresh, the display refresh, which is causing it to actually change the pixels on the display. So if it was non-hidden and now it is hidden, when the display refresh happens, that's when it will actually remove all the pixels that are no longer showing because they've become hidden, and vice versa as well. That's where it would show the pixels that perhaps used to be hidden but now are not. But I'm not sure if I actually understood the question right. Just realized I have not been watching the Twitch chat, but there is nothing going on over there anyway, so it works out all right. One of these days, we're going to work on the Twitch chat bot, and then maybe we'll get some more folks in the chat, or are behind it. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, if it goes from non-hidden to hidden, there could be something that was behind it that we were not able to see before. Now we are able to see it because that thing in front of it is hidden. Yeah, good point there. And that is also, I believe, that's going to be taking place inside the display refresh, basically, is where the actual manipulation of the pixels that in the end get sent out to the screen takes place. Keith, the EE, how's it going? Good afternoon. Yep, stream's been going good. I got this new page layout, which I think is pretty cool. This is a new helper layout, which allows you to add items to your pages. You can put whatever you want on your pages, and then you can add those pages to the layout, and then you can change between the pages that are showing. So it's like a easy to use interface that allows you to add a bunch of different pages to your layout and then switch between them quickly and easily with APIs that are, like, I think at least, super helpful, super useful. You can refer to your pages by names, or you can refer to your pages by indexes. Either of them works. So you'd be able to do things like, you know, show page, splash screen, and it could show that part of your app. And then when that's done, it could go like show page, main menu, and that could show your main menu with your choices for what other things the user could do. And then there could be like show page, main application, and that shows the actual primary content. And when you want to go back to the main menu, like maybe user hits a button or something, then you could just call show page main menu again, and it'll swap them all around for you. So it just manages which one is showing at any given time using those indexes and names, which I think will be, it's not like fundamentally anything that you can't do with groups, but it's like easier to use API. Being able to show page by name or index, I think, is super helpful. Whereas with the group by itself, you would have to use indexes and you'd have to loop through every time and like call hidden on the ones you don't want, all that sort of stuff. And so this handles it for you, gives you a nice, easy to use interface. Can a vector IO object have a fill color of none? I don't think it can have a fill color of none, but it can have a fill color of transparent, because you can do palette.make transparent index, color index. So we can make color 0 transparent, and then I believe it won't get drawn. Yeah. So sort of yes, sort of no. You can't set literally the value none as the color, but you can set the color to a thing that happens to be transparent in the palette, which will make it not get drawn. Good question. So display refresh rewrites everything from background to front. It rewrites all the parts that are marked as dirty internally, which dirty just means there has been changes since the last time it got drawn. So it does optimize, if I understand correctly, it does some optimization to be like only change the pixels that actually have changed since the last refresh. So it's not always like every frame, it's not redrawing the entire display. It's only, it's like keeping all the stuff that's the same, but changing and redrawing the parts that change. And those could change because of like stuff getting hidden and shown. Those could change because the user changed the X value or whatever. They could change because the user like set, new text on the label or whatever. That's how it kind of keeps track of like dirty regions versus non-dirty regions. Dirty ones have changed since the previous frame. Oh, nice. That makes it swapping between what you're working on nice and easy. Yeah. I think it'll be a good. I kind of started it as originally last night. I was talking about this as the tabbed layout at the top of this thing here. But the more I thought about it last night after I got done streaming, I was like, I feel like this is actually two things. I feel like this section here is the paged layout, and this one is like a special version of the paged layout that uses these buttons to change between pages. But generally speaking, you could have a page layout where you don't want to have the tab buttons or whatever. So I made page layout first, and then we'll go back and build on top of page layout the tabbed one, which will be a special variation that uses these buttons and labels at the top, or bottom, I guess. Doesn't matter where you put them, but uses these buttons and labels as the way to actually switch between them. Can you have partially transparent? No, I don't think so. You can have, if you mean like, can it be like 50% opaque, for instance, like you're able to do that with CSS or with image editing software. CircuitPython currently, to the best of my knowledge, does not support that idea of partway transparent. What you can make transparent in CircuitPython are indexes inside the palette. So you can make more than one index transparent. If you had a palette of 10 different colors, you can make 3 of those colors transparent. And then, if you have a bitmap with different pixels mapping to those indexes in the palette, the ones that map to the transparent ones won't get drawn. But you can't have like half opaque red. You can't have like partially see-through red, or green or blue or anything else. It's either fully visible, not see-through at all, or it's fully transparent, not visible at all. Both ends of the extreme, but not 50%. or any other percent really. 0 and 100 are the two available transparency percentages, and it's per color on the palette that you can set those. So there is, I mean, I guess there must be some, maybe this mechanism is inside palette though. I mean, there is some mechanism already for the shape to be, you know, not hidden, the property hidden, but not showing on the display. There is some logic where it knows that we set it to a transparent color and therefore it's not drawing. I wonder where that logic is at, that it basically chooses not to draw it if it's marked as hidden. I wonder if there's a way we could reuse that. But I mean, I think the correct way will be adding the hidden property the same way that TileGrid and Group have it. Realistically, Vector.io should behave the same as TileGrid and Group with respects to that hidden flag. Correct. Yeah, we don't have a alpha channel. Yeah, only fully opaque or fully transparent, not a alpha channel of like partially transparent. You'd have to calculate the resulting color. Yeah, if you wanted to achieve the effect of partially transparent, yeah, you could maybe like blend the color you want with the pixels that you found in the background of your thing. And then you could paint those blended colors into the foreground. Technically, it's still fully opaque. But yeah, with some like image manipulation, you could make it appear as though you're able to see through part of it. But really what you've done is you put a blocker in front that happens to look like what it would look like if you could see through it, which is kind of a weird distinction, but that's how it would end up working, at least today in CircuitPython. Maybe one of these days we end up having alpha channel, in which case then you would obviously be able to do more stuff like that. But yeah, anti-aliasing is difficult, yeah. A palette of 8 colors plus 64 blended colors, yeah. You could do that. Yeah, you would have to write all the logic yourself though to like look in the background and then do that blending of like how much foreground color versus how much background color. You'd have to do all of that logic yourself. Which if you do, you should totally share, because that would be pretty cool. And I imagine lots of folks would be happy to use that for different stuff. So, all right, I think I'm probably going to head out here. So I know kind of the next thing on my list. I will put the example, I'll clean up this example a little bit. Right now I have it doing a lot of stuff because I was testing out a bunch of different parts of the API. I wanted to make sure all the parts of the API were working. So I'll clean up this example. I'll probably end up making 2 examples. One is a simple test which shows the most basic variation, and then one is this more advanced one that kind of exercises all the different APIs. And I'll add both of those as examples to the display.io layout library. Once I push that, I'll make a PR to add this to the actual repo. And then we know the next thing on the list to work on is Vector.io hiddenness. Why don't I make, while I'm here, let me do this. This will be the last thing I do. Why don't I make a, let's make a issue on the core for Vector.io hidden. And then I'll like claim it or whatever. I'll say that I'm going to work on it. But this way it's at least documented somewhere and other folks can see it and offer comments and stuff, and possibly like Warrior of Wire, the person who made it, might also see it there and offer suggestions for like if there's any gotchas that maybe I don't know about, or if he has an idea for the right way to do it. What am I'm looking for here. Let's take out this. We could also, I think, get rid of the other group. I did that for testing to see if it mattered. Turned out that it didn't. Okay. I'll make this issue and then I'll head out for the day, I think. This. And then I also have on the stack to work on at some point the to get the Pygame display back to working. that will probably require some more effort. I wonder if I could like write a test somehow that would get run by the Blinka CI. Try to make sure it's not broken when there's PRs. Well, let me search for this first, I guess. No, nothing so far. Okay. I'd say it's feels more like a bug, but it's also kind of a feature request. I don't know. I'll do feature request. I think you can just do this. First, that went like randomly right in the middle, but so this is basically going to link to that stuff we found, which was shared module and fill area, shared module, tile grid. I'll just link to the tile grid one. They both have basically the same code. Tile grid, oh, display IO. Okay, let me catch up on the chat, and then I'm headed out for now. So let's see here. Talked about that. Transparent colors. Partially transparent. Guess I wasn't back as far as I thought. Palette of 8 colors, yep. Could use a palette for alpha and or anti-aliasing. You still have to implement it all yourself. Complexity of anti-aliasing would be alpha squared. Yeah, probably true. I mean, it'd be squared for me. It'd be tough because I've never done any of that kind of stuff before. Larry Banks recently added support for anti-alias text inside GFX. Uses a 2x font. Interesting. I don't even want to think about the complexity of trying to do it with pixel-sized fonts. Yeah, it would definitely be tough. Does it work on 3 or 4x? 1x would just look blurry. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. All right. So thank you to everybody. Gordy, Johnny, T. Grover, Keith the EE. Is that who we got? Tammy. I think that's everybody who hung out in the chat, at least with us. There may be other folks watching, and thank you to you as well. If you're just watching and not chatting, that's totally cool as well. I will be back certainly next Friday evening for the deep dive. That's at 2 p.m. Pacific. And then I'll be back next Saturday. I should be at the same time that I was on today, which is 10 a.m. Central on Saturdays. That was about 2.5 hours ago is when I started, and that's the time that I normally stream on Saturdays. So you can catch me here. If you follow me on Twitch, foamyguy_Twitch, then you can get notifications when I go live. Sometimes I stream on Mondays, sometimes I don't. Just depends what I'm working on. But definitely Friday evenings and Saturday mornings I'll be around, and so that's when you can catch me next. And yeah, thank you to everyone as always for watching, and I will catch you next time. Yep, and have a great day as well. Great day, great weekend for everybody. Definitely a sunny weekend here, so I'm definitely looking to enjoy it for sure.